It's a Sears Tower. Not only can you see in its entirety the Sears Tower, you can see neighboring 200 and 300 foot buildings, okay? Now that should be impossible on a ball Earth. They do give us an explanation. The newscaster tells you what you are seeing is a mirage, okay? The problem with that is a guy got in a boat, a guy named Rob Skiba, and he said, bullshit, I don't believe that this is a mirage. Excuse me, I'm sorry for that. He says, I don't believe that's a mirage. And he videotapes that mirage from one end of the lake as he's traveling across until it's in front of his eyes, the city, and there's no denying that that's a city. So was it a mirage, right? Now people are doing that all over the world. They're taking photos of objects. You know how you hear that ships go over the horizon? Well, unfortunately, people are getting zoom cameras, and that ship that disappeared, quote, over the horizon, they get a zoom, and they zoom it right back in on that ship. Now we all know you can't do that on a ball. If the thing zoomed, if you go over,
ask you a question.
Yeah.
What's the point of the big lie?
I believe it's to hide God. I mean, I'm going to lose everybody here because I was an atheist 46 years, and I'm like, there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people who have become who became flat earthers, and immediately you become a Christian. You're like, or you believe it. I'm sorry.
So you believe the story that they're
firmament
flat? Yeah.
With a dome over us?
Yeah, kind of a dome.
But how does
I do, but I can't prove, like, I'm not proving nothing, but like that's where I'm at right now.
One end of the earth can travel all the way back.
Say that again?
How did the dome get around the planet?
Oh, okay, so check this out. Imagine if there was imagine the earth is a kiddie pool, a circle, like they call it in the Bible. They call it the circle of the earth.
Right.
So imagine it's a kiddie pool, and now you have, each continent is like a little island in that kiddie pool. Well, if you can sail technically around all those islands if they were like towards the center of that pool. That's the kind of the flat earth model.
Why should we believe? I've had it in my book that like we don't even know if
You shouldn't believe that. That's my point.
I want to know if it's an optical illusion. So if Magellan went around, and everybody's going around, and they're following, you have due north, the North Star.
Right.
The idea that the Earth, the sun, rises in the east, sets in the west, and goes all the way around. How's all that explained in the dome?
They're trying. They've put together like a flat Earth model. They have to like it's complex for that. I don't even understand normal astronomy that well.
This isn't right.
I have if you want, I have YouTube pages listed on here that because there's a lot of misinformation that people are putting out. I'm telling you.
Oh my God!
But believe me, I never got into this thinking I'd be standing.
So you do believe in a higher? You were an atheist for 46 years. You believe in a higher power now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I never
What
thought.
about the begotten Son? Do you believe in that?
In Jesus Christ?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a born again. Good. But the
At
thing.
least you're on the right path.
But cool.
Flat thing, I don't know about it.
Well, the thing is, I have Bible verses. Do you read your Bible?
Yeah, but that's the thing too. So much in the scripture is, and it's truth.
Yeah.
But there's figurative truth.
Okay.
Allegorical truth. There's literal narrative truth.
Yeah.
But it's all truth.
But there's parts where it's God's word, and like he says, he's standing over his kingdom at one point. I don't know all the Bible verses, but I misspelled my one banner. I put verses VERSUS, so I couldn't bring my banner because I look like a fool.
Right.
But anyhow, one of it he says he stands over his kingdom and looks at all of the kingdoms on the earth, standing on a high mountain. Well,
right, but that's an allegory, dude. Because God, only Christ, Emmanuel, was God with us in male.
Is the firmament in Genesis 1? Is the firmament?
There is a firmament.
Okay,
it's the ether.
But that's not what they talk about. Like if you look up the actual word of firmament, it's like if you look up the definition in Hebrew, it's like a hard pounded. There's a couple different ways to.
I guess but to me it's all.
But I mean, now you're interpreting. You know what I'm saying?
You have to interpret.
No, I think interpreting is really dangerous.
Listen, there are 1,500 Christian denominations.
Can you believe in evolution and read the Bible? I don't think you can. I don't think you can read the.
See, that's the thing. The only truth that matters is Christ.
Right.
Evolution, the gaps. I don't know if we came. I'm more inclined to think the ancient alien theory might be right. Okay. Which, by the way, the aliens would be.
Yeah.
Who would they be?
I think there'd be.
They'd be the Watchers of Genesis.
Oh, okay.
The Watchers who created the Nephilim, the hybrid human. The Philistines.
If you haven't investigated this stuff, because
I've looked at it. It just seems like a waste. Like it's a type of intellectual energy that can be put into like. For me, I think hopefully this leads the whole flat Earth thing.
Yep. want to get you on tape. That's all.
I just hope the flat Earth thing eventually leads into the conspiracy, and the great conspiracy is that Christianity was hijacked.
Yeah,
it was hijacked by
Catholic
the
Church. You think?
Oh yeah,
100%.
Oh yeah, the Roman Catholics.
Yeah, it's scary.
The European nobility. Constantine was a total douche.
I'm just learning this, by the way, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a book called 384 about Constantine.
Okay.
He basically just. You had a massively spreading cult, which was Christianity, and he just brought it in because he saw the correlations with paganism. And of course there's correlations because paganism is based on God's creation.
Have you seen the connection between Copernicus and Freemasonry and the Catholic Church and how they got connected?
I'm familiar with the whole I'm familiar with. But see, here's the thing. When Constantine took hold of it, it was just another excuse to go after the Jews. Because immediately after, he basically makes Christianity the religion of the empire.
Okay.
They made Christ a non-Jew. They said when he became the Christ, he was no longer a Jew. And it just gave them an excuse to go after the Jews because the Jews, money, commodities, they were experts at everything.
Okay.
And so the original Holocaust was after Constantine. And then Hitler, so Hitler's allies were Mussolini in Italy, Franco in Spain, and the Roman Catholic Church was completely allied with Franco. My grandfather fought in the Spanish Civil War. Franco and the fascists and the Roman Catholic Church killed all my great uncles.
Have you seen David Cole's video on the gas chambers? He's a Jew. He's a young. It was done 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
You have a little.
I just don't know if that's even worth it. Even if it was exaggerated, the crematoriums and everything. Because history is littered with lies.
Okay.
You know.
So, but see, you sound a lot like my friend. He's my friend. He's been helping with Christianity because he's a good guy. And
dude, first of all, Christianity was utterly hijacked. With the Christianity you see in the Western world is a fraud. Okay, the only truth in it is that Christ is God in human flesh. That's the only thing they got right. The rest of it is to create confusion, division, to get your money, to get you into their cult.
I feel like it's just a book of lessons that they're trying to teach.
Oh, it's lessons, but it's more. The whole thing, the Torah, the entirety of the Tanakh, and how they wrote the prophets and everything else, the minor prophets, the major prophets, it's all coded, it's all multiple layered, it's all truth, but just like the truth is not a one-dimensional, two-dimensional, or even three-dimensional thing. It is an all-dimensional thing, like a sphere.
Don't you think it's kind of important that like there's a lot of people that are like myself who are brought into Christianity and Christ through flat Earth, and maybe
you know why?
God
you know why?
Bringing us?
You are being led to the truth. You are a seeker. You are knocking. The world no longer makes sense to you. This is an avenue. And that's...
My friend said none of this matters. And by the way,
because you were called out.
My friend, but what he says is like kind of you. He goes, I'm worried about the after. This is what maybe where you're going. He says, I'm more concerned with my eternity than I am with what takes place here in the physical earth. And I find it depressing. Why you have kids then, man? Why?
He's right and he's wrong. I don't know. That God's working with him. But thank God the apostles didn't think that way, because that's why Paul went into Rome. He went into the belly of the beast. He went through prison, and they all did. They were all martyrs. They lived miserable lives. They left their wives because, like you,
they died miserably.
Their eyes were open. And that's what the word, even in the interpretation to the English, when they took it from the Greek into the English, the New Testament or the Old Testament, the word church in the Greek means called out ones. It's not a building. It's not a place. It's you, for example, are
is that true?
Because you've been called out to know. That's why
church
Christ says, those with ears, let them listen. Those
is that like a Hebrew? Was that the Hebrew term for church?
The church used in the Gospels, that was from the Greek. Because the language of the Roman Empire was mostly Greek. It's sort of like the American Empire, our language is England, because that was the preceding empire. The preceding empire to Rome was Greek. That's why all their architecture is Greek. It's all the Roman columns are Greek. And then to the Freemasonry point, that's the mystery schools. Those guys, just like the Rosicrucian order, so they collect all the world philosophies and religion, and they think they know it. Because it all goes back to the Templars.
You don't think they're running things?
I think they're one of the. I think they're one of the major groups, and I'm not even sure who the good guys are from the bad guys anymore.
Have you looked into reptilians?
Oh, David Icke stuff? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a literal thing, but I do know this much.
They're
like a reptile, they're cold-blooded.
Serpents are mentioned too in the Bible, right?
They're all over over.
Yeah.
Every religious culture talks about the serpent.
Crazy, man. What is going on?
Because the
probably
serpent is the symbol of, in all world religion, the serpent is a symbol of wisdom.
Okay.
Just like in the garden story.
Yeah.
He
I have
is
so much to learn.
He is the tempter of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And here's another layer. This is like if you study a little bit of Kabbalah, which is the Jewish mysticism, which I'm not encouraging you just look at everything.
I'm looking at Gnosticism too, but with a very cautious eye, just to get my bearings.
See what speaks to you.
Just to test stuff
because
out.
it's every word of Christ. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And then what Paul says, Paul was on the money in the deeper interpretation because he understands the depth. That's what Kabbalah does, or Kabbalah, is give you the poetic depth to truth, the many layers. Like, for example, every boy and girl ever born is an Adam and an Eve in a true and actual sense because Eve falls first. She tastes of the knowledge of good and evil, which is to say, she's the first one to recognize that something's changed, like she's naked. Girls go through puberty first. The very act of a girl going through puberty first, when she starts to sprout breasts and everything else, boys by observation, when they watch their peers start to change, that kicks off their adrenal glands, their endocrine system starts to secrete all kinds of stuff, and then they go through puberty later because it is
reaction.
It is a biological, natural reaction of Eve going through the change, taking of the knowledge, passing that fruit to the boy. Oh wow! The boy goes through the change, then they develop ego, where they develop shame, and they cover up, and they live a life of fear. Like you fear you're not.
So we go right into being like not what we should. Like we fall into the trap immediately. And the idea is to dig yourself out.
Well,
I mean, what is going on?
He writes the law on your heart, which is to say, everybody, no matter how miserable your life is, you know what. In your heart, you know what truth is, but the minefield, where the tree of knowledge of good and evil gets you, is here. It is the ego, because what is foundational to the ego is self-preservation. The self-preservation mechanism relies on fear. We teach our kids, don't cross the street without looking both ways. Don't put your finger there. And what do? Just like in the garden, we disobey.
Oh, right.
We learn, but we need to be taught fear, because how else are you going to survive in this world? But when we get to a certain age of maturity, we also have to learn about faith, which is we have to walk into the dark chest out, because you can't know everything. So you have to have faith. Like even in a relationship.
So would you say I'm wasting my time?
No. I think you're on a path. Okay. I think you've been called out. Yeah. And this is why this takes courage. Yeah. To engage people. Yeah. In a debate about reality. Right. And that's really, I think, the key is. Are we in a reality? Because they say this is the way the world is. Yeah. That's. Yeah. I mean, the war.
Well, now I do. I didn't. I used to walk around in like a zombie. Like I really feel like people are zombies.
This is what Orwell was writing about in 1984. He wrote about it in the Animal Farm. Aldous Huxley in Brave New World. He talked about these lies.
I use those all the time now. Like I read those books but what's funny is I was reading those books like 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And like I never dug. 9/11 really started me off, and then that.
Be careful
that David
talking about.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But it's obvious something's up there.
But it's interesting. The people who are willing to walk up to you if they're not mocking you are more. They're being called. They're slow. Like I think it's their intuition is bringing them to you. It's amazing. How you doing?
It's the new thing.
You see that? You see that horizon behind me? Yeah. There's people on YouTube that are. What you ever hear that ships sail over the horizon when they disappear from our view, right? Well, there's people on YouTube, multiple people who get a zoom camera, and the ship will disappear out of sight, and they grab that zoom camera and they can zoom in, and then they see it again, and maybe it goes out of the distance of that zoom camera, so they grab like maybe a little stronger telescope. Boom! There it is again. Like there's.
All right. Yeah, but here.
Are they seeing around the ball?
It wouldn't even matter, right? If you look into quantum theory, atoms under observation behave differently.
Yeah, I've heard that. I can't prove it though.
Well, it's been proven. You don't have to prove it.
Now I do. That's my point for being.
You can't trust what
I can't trust men. I can't trust men anymore. I trust that that I grab a telescope because there's so many regular people doing it. So I am kind of trusting the people who've done it, but it's not quantum physics level. This is something I can go buy a $100 telescope and do it.
So when astronauts go into space and they go around the world, they circumvent the globe and it's around. You don't think
that happen?
Oh, did you know that on NASA's website, literally all the images of Earth, except for one, are labeled as composite images. There's not any, except for one, singular image.
That part is true because it's very hard.
Complete image all the way around.
There's a video of one of the cosmonauts, a Russian cosmonaut, when they started doing their little thing, and in it, the specs say that his helmet was rigid. Like he could look around like this, but his helmet would stay the same. But in one of the, like it looks like a stop-action animation of him that they tried to pawn off as real. His helmet twists with him. They made a mistake when they made it, like because it made it look more obvious. They're faking space. There's so many videos on space being fake.
I want to hear. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
How do you explain day and night?
Day and night, they have flat Earth models. I don't, I have a hard time with the ball Earth.
No, how do you explain the sun's gonna set?
Yep.
And it's gonna become night.
Perspective, they say.
How does that happen?
Well, I've learned a lot about on perspective. Like where you think the sun is right now, because of the water in our atmosphere, it actually distorts even where the sun is.
That's what I'm telling you is you can't trust your own eyes anyway. Right?
I can agree with that.
And even according to your faith, right? Blessed are those who believe that don't see.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing physically doesn't matter.
Yeah.
See, I think the guys going through the flat Earth thing, I think that they're being called out in an intellectual, spiritual way to question the whole of reality, which is a good thing.
But let me ask you this then. Now, did you hear? Now you can see from the. Did you hear me talking about the shore of Chicago? So you can see. You can see across 50 miles, okay, and over a distance of over water, Lake Michigan, you can see the Chicago skyline.
I think it's like 17 miles. It's supposed to disappear.
And listen, people are seeing things 150 freaking miles away, and at 150 miles, now you're talking multiple miles of curvature. Miles. They're seeing places. But anyhow, in Chicago, not only are you seeing, you can see with your naked eye the Chicago skyline.
They've actually put that on mainstream news, and it probably is a mirage because you can.
But hold on. But wait, the guy Rob Skiba rented a boat, and he videotaped that mirage from one end of the lake the entire way across until he's looking at it with his eyes. So, what point? Like, did it switch from being a mirage like magically at some point?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you lost it?
Oh yeah, I saw a video. They were like dropping like an iPad down, and they took it on a balloon, and the Earth kind of looked a little bit round.
Yeah, a lot of them are like GoPro, like they do the fisheye lenses. There's one Felix Baumgartner. I don't know if you've seen him, but he's a guy who jumped out of the. He did a GoPro jump from the highest jump, 100,000 feet, right? So in it, you can clearly see like the massive curvature. The only problem is the amount of curvature is so ridiculous. Like it was California being a quarter of all the curvature of all the Earth, right? So then there's another video.
To this though, and that you have not. But it's just my opinion. You haven't uncovered it yet.
Yeah.
You're seeking truth.
Yeah.
And it's good and it's brave and you're going through something and that's awesome and you're engaging people. But as far as this, one of the reasons why I brought up quantum is like you believe in God, right?
Yeah.
God is
100%.
infinite.
Yeah.
The infinite shape
I saw
is
the eclipse.
circle.
I saw the total eclipse.
Okay, and the infinite shape is the circle. There's no beginning and end to it.
Yeah.
That is the model of the Most High because down to the atom, down to every galaxy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all a cycle. It's all cyclical.
Do you think in Genesis, he says that he puts two lights in the sky? Two lights. He doesn't say just the sun is a light. He says there's two lights in the sky, sun and the moon.
Right.
Also in the Bible, at one point he stops.
Allegory, dude.
But is the sun?
But see, that's
Genesis is that, but that doesn't mean it's not truth. Plato's allegory, the cave, is truth.
But that's not in the Bible. The Bible is
sure it is.
So wait, is there any parts of the Bible that it's God's word 100%?
I think it's all God's word because it's truth.
Oh yeah, but that's going to be surface tension of water creates the sphere.
It might actually be
Is the sun flat?
Yeah.
Is the sun flat?
I don't know. I'm kind of trying to stay within like what we observe, what we can actually test out on our own. There's people who are doing a laser beam across a lake 6 miles across, and it ends up the same height above that lake as where it started.
But are we still?
It can't be on a ball though.
And what you're saying might actually be, and it's being hidden from us because they don't want us.
Oh,
to
like
know.
we're having multiple realities. You mean like?
No. To your point, which is what leads you to this, that the grand conspiracy is that there are people in high places, like what Paul talked about principalities, and that's where the real darkness is. That the theme is that they know a higher truth, which might even be the enemy, and they're keeping it from us so that we don't fully understand reality, because if we did, we'd have faith in God and their authority, we would be finished. We wouldn't follow them. We wouldn't follow their consumerism. We wouldn't go along with the wars. We wouldn't pay their taxes.
Isn't that worth fighting for?
Yeah, I agree.
That's why I'm out here.
You're on the path.
I'm on the path.
You're on the path. Just don't be safe.
I don't want. Well, I don't want.
Wants to be aggressive and stupid. Like they start getting drunk at you.
Yeah, no, I get out of here. I have to get out of here soon. Yeah, because that happened. I had like 20 people, and they started screaming, and I like, "Oh, there's you idiot!" And I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna close up shop." Because I like for you to meet a person like you and to listen to somebody who's been doing this a lot longer than me, I can learn. And so it's really cool.
You're on the path, though. I mean, just keep learning, but don't keep it exclusive to this. This is given, and it might be true, but what's the most important truth is the truth of the human heart and who controls it. The enemy or Christ.
Okay.
The big conspiracy is to hide the true teaching of Christ, which is in plain sight. You open up the scripture, it's right there. And you can take that literal in the English language. They interpret it to mean all kinds of nonsense. Because remember, the model of Christ and what he did is really what Gandhi did. They killed him. What Dr. King did, they killed him. Because when you find people set people's minds free, they set people's minds free, they have to go. Okay. All you know about Dr. King, for example, is I have a dream. He has a holiday, and that's it. That was a super intellectual with a PhD in philosophy and a true Christian, even though he laid down with a couple of...
Did you know that?
Who, Dr. King?
Yeah.
A lot of good Christians are Freemasons.
Ooh, I don't know how that's possible, though. How can you be like there's some things that they do that are completely conflict with being a true Christian.
Most Freemasons are Blue Lodge Freemasons.
Okay, they're being conned. They're being used.
Or they don't care. It's like joining the Elks.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of like selling your soul at that point?
No. I think you're selling your soul after you get to a point of understanding and knowledge. That you've taken an oath, which is Christ told us not to take oaths. It's everyone's in their own,
and they do it.
Everybody's in their own season, and they think that the Freemasonry is a Christian organization, which it isn't.
No.
Okay, because George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, all these guys are Christians.
All Christians are Freemasons. My grandma.
No, I'm not. I'm saying the founding fathers were Christians,
and they were Freemasons too. You know that, right?
George
Washington.
Does the earth still rotate around?
Well, they have a beautiful dude, Masonic lodge right in the middle of DC.
Yeah, the earth still.
There's so much excuse me?
Yes.
The earth still rotates around the sun with the flat earth theory? And if so, how does the earth not drift out in space?
The earth doesn't rotate in the flat earth theory. It's like the sun and the moon are going above it. And I think it's more like their spotlights. But I'll tell you this: as far as the model for that goes, there's a lot of holes in it that people have poked. So there's no real good model for that. So yeah, there's a lot of that. But my problem is that I do agree with you. Your eyes can fool you, but
the Freemasons, by the way, it's not just them. If you John Birch Society, for example, which is mainstream libertarian, the top of the food chain is a brotherhood, and it's a brotherhood, it's men, is a brotherhood of a whole group of basically the wealthiest and most powerful folks on the planet, which includes certain members of like the Roman Catholic Church. There's a Far East family, I can't remember their name. There's an Italian family, and that is the old Bavarian Illuminati. That's real. They know it's real. Stanley Kubrick knew it was real. That's why he had Eyes Wide Shut.
You think we landed on the moon?
I suspect we did land on the moon, but that Kubrick filmed a lot of it because they couldn't get a camera going with all the radiation. But listen, I think anything's possible that it could be a sham. Because look
you're open-minded. I mean, with all that you've said to me,
I'm open-minded, but I choose to be utterly rational and use my reason. And I'm not claiming any great intelligence, but I try to be as objective as possible. Because part of my faith was trying to disprove Christianity, that Christ was a fraud. There was a book called Caesar's Messiah, that it was made up by the Romans and Josephus, and I read that, and it blew my mind and almost crushed my soul. But then part of my program was, now I'm going to read the rebuttal. And Christianity is the only faith, and it is. where ancient scholarship in ancient history, right? A bunch of atheists or whoever. It's a fact he was here. That's what I get from it. It's such a fact. Well, it's just a fact. That's what he was here. He was unique. And then just like Lee Strobel wrote the book A Case for Christ, which is the circumstantial evidence that he was here is all of the non-biblical writers in the 1st century and the 2nd century that were writing about him. The Babylonian Talmud, which is the foremost collection of writings of the rabbis, all wrote about him constantly. They hated his guts, dude. They hated him because he was lighting up Jews. I mean, that's the first people that were affected were Jews. Like,
God was
because Christianity
right?
is supposed to be no. Well, yeah, but always. He was pissed at David.
Right. Okay, got
I mean, because God is relentless truth. And when you disobey, it's cause and effect, right?
And it wasn't consistent. It was. There were periods where people were doing good, and it was looked in good light. I'm like on Chronicles. Ezra. I think I'm up to now. I haven't even read even more than half the Bible yet.
That's all right.
But I'm getting there.
Yeah.
It's so hard to understand some of the stuff.
And you can rest. And even step away.
Around, right?
I can't prove it around.
Yeah, I know.
Wait.
But don't worry.
But it's okay. No, you know why? It's like the whole story with Paul. Like it resonates so well with me because I was freaking Paul. In that, if I saw people doing this back like just a few years ago, I would have a little chuckle. I would be that guy like, look at that idiot who thinks this, and because I had my beliefs and I was wrapped up in my own beliefs.
Who turned you on to this? A Christian?
No. This happened like a year and a half ago. I heard Kyrie Irving was in the news. They were talking about flat Earth. Then I heard somebody else bring up flat Earth. I'm like, what is going on? They're talking. What? Like, how could it even be debated?
The world is going nuts. The world is going nuts is because we're at the end of something because of the advent of technology and the exponential growth of technology and information. Like Daniel the prophet said, towards the end, knowledge will increase. That's chapter 12.
Yeah, that gives me the chills. Dude, before you leave, so I don't forget, if you can, see the next solar eclipse. In totality, it has to be totality. It is the most stunning thing you'll ever see in your life.
I don't know if you've seen it. Eclipse last night, but I don't think we.
It's not even. I mean, it looks. It's 100% super. What you see in the sky, you can't imagine. I can't even describe it. You can't take a photo of it too, by the way.
This is all supernatural.
Yeah. The fact that we're used to it. You know what I mean? Like this sun that I saw was like everybody who was like their jaws dropped because most of the people I think I went down to Kentucky and saw it. I just want to mention that because I think in a year and a half or so we get another one that comes by north up here. It took me like 24 hours to get home from like an 8-hour trip the first time. It was crazy. That many people actually went out and did it. It was awesome.
No matter what you do, cling to every word of Christ.
Cool.
So if you're in the Old Testament, you're getting confused by whatever, and you're asking people, just go back to the words. Just read the words. That's the mantra. The words, just the words of Him in the Gospels, and then read what Paul said about it, and you'll be grounded for the rest of your life.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too. I really do appreciate it.
If you're just looking with the telescope in just one area, we're on like this area just here is like a speck on the Earth. The Earth is so huge, and you can't just look at it and look at like the Earth is flat because it's so big. You have to look at it from like either really high up or from like a big perspective.
There's rich guys. There was a guy that he was going way. Yeah, I mean, come on, let's go.
Do some investigation. Yeah, hey, thank you so much. It was really great talking with you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night. Hello.
Hi.
What you guys thinking?
I'd like to talk to you about my flat moon theory. Because this is like a real theory that I have.
Cool.
It's like, we've only really seen one side of the moon.
That's what they say.
And like, they haven't really gone around the back, I think. I don't know.
Well, and did you see the photo of the backside of the moon? Like they did, like from space. Supposedly, it looked really horrible. They did not too good of a job. I don't know. You know, who knows? Who knows whether the thing's round? I know. Have you guys seen how you can that people have seen stars? Like when there's a half moon on the part that isn't lit up. People have, if you can Google this, people have seen stars through the moon.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there's photos of that. Whether they're real or not, I don't know. But that's very creepy. And people have seen them in the daytime too on a half moon.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah. And then I don't know if you guys have you guys looked into like the moon landing at all?
Not too much.
No? Do you want to see? I have a photo of what the moon lander looks like on here.
Yeah.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys never seen it? All right. Let me get it. It's a little bit of a pain, but I'll just take